Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our new review of This Is Us. Coco Vanderwolf is here. She's very, very excited because it was a long break. We all had to suffer through it, but you know...
But the family's back together.
We came out on the other side with a really... I think this was a good episode.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of fun with it. There are some legitimately funny things that I think kind of happened throughout here. We even have a big question mark about Nicky to talk about now that we've made it to the end.
Yep.
So, okay, well, we don't need to get into too many pleasantries here first and foremost. We're all at a big dinner table. Let's just dive right in.
Yep.
Before we do, though, this is like the traditional family dinner thing where you're like ready to grab the roll, and they're like, hold on a second. If you guys do enjoy this video, subscribe, because you know what? We're talking This Is Us all the time. We're sharing theories. We're having a good old time. We don't want you guys to miss any of that.
Also, if you missed out on Pie Day, that was on Sunday. And Matt made a pie. We have a picture up on our Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. So be sure to follow us over there.
Yeah, because you don't want a pie in the face if you don't, right? No, I'm joking.
That is where we are now. We are threatening our audience.
Pies in the face.
Don't worry, guys. I got you. I will pie Matt in the face.
I will laugh because it is always funny to get a pie in the face.
That's true, it is.
Okay. Let's start with Nicky. Let's just start at the end.
Yeah, we got to start with the really good stuff, because I know a lot of you out there like us have been missing Nicky a lot.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see that Kevin named one of his twins after him. It was even cooler to see him show up and be like, what do you mean only one of your kids is named after me?
What did you think, Nicky? This is Nicky, and this is my sister Nicolette. Like, where do you think this is going, Nicky?
I loved that.
Yeah.
And with all this talk of this, can they all live in a compound? And Kevin's getting really into family now that he's had his kids. He's like, oh man, we all got to be together. I want all the kids to grow up together. Can we all live in a compound in Malibu? I'm like, where is he going with this sort of thing? And we've looked into the future where we have seen the big house, and we sort of saw, that's on the same land as the cabin. We're kind of like, we theorized maybe Nicky's living in that cabin. But now that he has shown up right after Kevin said, you know what, I'm good with this as our family.
Yeah.
You and me, Madison, and kids, that's good enough for me. Then Nicky shows up. So is Nicky moving in?
I'm gonna cast a line out there, and we're gonna see what happens. I think Nicky is moving in.
I think so too.
I think we are done having Nicky as a faraway presence on this show. Because, like you said, in the future, we have seen the big compound. We don't know if everyone is at the compound. We don't know.
But we know that cabin is beside the big house. And, I mean, everyone's at that house. Yes, they're there for a reason. But who knows how many people are living there. I mean, it seems that Rebecca's on her deathbed in the future, living in Kevin's house. So maybe there are quite a few people that are all living there or around there.
We know that Nicky is there in the future, and this could be a stepping stone to that, because as far as we've known, Nicky has been off in the trailer just sort of living his life and not really doing a whole lot else. Maybe Nicky's finally a little bit lonely. Maybe Nicky's like, you know what, I kind of actually want to hang out with family, and this is a driving force for him.
I think having one of Kevin's kids named after him was just the catalyst to sort of wake him up, where, he has been sort of, family, but at a distance. Now that this has happened, he's showing up there, be like, hey, more kids be named after me. I think he really feels like he is so part of this family that he can't get out.
This is a big trip for Nicky, too, because it's like he's in, Pennsylvania, and so he's going to the other side of the country, showing up. No one does this I don't know of anyone in 22, even before this health crisis or anything else, where someone would fly to the other side of the country and just knock on the door and be like, hey, look who's here.
Yeah.
It seemed like they're handling it okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where it is going at some point, that maybe maybe something else is going to happen with Nicky. I don't think he's just going to show up and be like, hey, I'm moving in sort of thing. But I think it is starting to move them into what I think is going to happen in the future, which is that Kevin's going to have his big house on the same land as the cabin, and Nicky will be in that cabin. And it will sort of be this whole, we all live in a compound, but really it's just, everybody's living in some houses on the same land.
Yeah, I think it'll be something kind of similar to that. And I think people will sort of come to terms with the idea of, you know what? We can still have our lives. Kevin's not taking care of us in a way. 'Cause, we saw a lot of that with Toby within this episode, which was interesting and kind of... I know there's going to be people out there that'll be like, okay, Toby's taking it to 11 here and there, but I get it. Like, he wants to feel like he's taking care of his own family, and it's hard to sort of let go of a sense of pride.
No, I totally understand where actually both of them are coming from. And I'm not usually someone who's going to ride the fence and say, hey, I can see both sides of this. But I can actually see both sides. I can see that Kevin has amassed this great wealth, and if he can help his family, then he wants to help his family, and that he's not seeing it sort of as a condescending, look at all this money I have. But when you're on the other side of it, and you want to provide for your own family, and you can't get a job, and you can't find a job, and things in the pandemic have been like that, where people who are very qualified to be able to do jobs, the jobs just aren't there. So I can also see it from Toby's side, where he wants to be able to provide for his own family. He's like 40 years old. He doesn't want to have to, oh, Kevin's got to come bail me and my wife and my kids out. Like, no, I can take care of it. I can find a way.
I think this was all really well written because Toby is a guy who's got a history of mental health struggles. He is someone who's dealt with a lot of things. And, Kate's got these other men in her life, and I know they're obviously very different relationships, but she's got Kevin, she's got Randall. Yep. They are both very successful in their own ways. They have a lot going on, and I think it's inevitable that Toby's going to kind of look around and be like, all these other people in your life, look where they are. Look where I am. I'm doing job interviews without... Toby, you know why you didn't get that job? You told them you weren't wearing pants.
Put your pants on. No, I love that he made that joke and then he stood up and he had no pants on. I thought that was so funny.
This is like, Toby, there's been enough horror stories with Zoom calls as of late. Just put the pants on, man. Right? It was funny.
No, I thought that was great. And I mean, I think Toby's going to be able to bounce back. We saw that Kate is going to be grabbing a job herself of something that she really wants to do. And I loved that phone call at the end where Kate is calling her mom saying, how did you do it? I want to make sure that I'm able to do it as well.
Yeah, it was a nice little moment. I know we're not getting like a ton of Rebecca right now, and I think, Mandy Moore's got maternity leave. I don't know how much we're going to have of her moving forward this season, but they're finding us like these little moments that make me happy where it's like everyone is still sort of connected.
Yeah, and we had old school Miguel back in the past. That was nice. We haven't seen that in a long time.
What do you think about... I don't think we've ever had the proper conversation about old school Miguel's hair, because it is a revelation. No, I think...
It fits in perfectly for the time.
There are so many men, myself, who could wish that they had hair like that. I mean, yeah, I've got the skull shaver. I've gotten all kind of... I'm happy with my shaved head situation here.
Yep.
Even when I had hair, Miguel, I still couldn't do that. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, it was nice to sort of have Rebecca tie in. And, we saw parenting from all different sorts of angles. We also saw Jack in the past be sort of intimidated by money, kind of like what Toby is in the present.
Yeah, that was a nice tie-in. I mean, there's always sort of those dynamics in friend groups and in families and life. So it was good to see that they were able to mirror that. I mean, this show always does a really good job doing that.
Okay, we have to talk about my favorite moment of this entire episode, and it may just be a moment because I think you know where this is going.
Oh, is it the NCIS moment where Annie was like, I love NCIS. Mark Harmon is a silver fox or whatever she said. That was so funny. I was dying. She's not wrong.
Okay, when they were starting to get to the point where they're like, NCIS is an old people show, like I was like starting to get, I feel personally attacked because it's like, I'm not old. This is us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there are younger people that are watching the show. I am not one of them. I am 46.
Okay, you are not old either.
But you are only 34 watching NCIS. There are the young ones out there.
We contribute to that 18 to 49 demographic rating that the advertisers like so much. So take that, Pearson family.
I loved that. That made me laugh so hard.
It was really, really funny. The other part of it, like, Randall not only having the plant, but naming the plant. And all of this was amazing, mostly because I am sitting right now next to a plant, a succulent that I have named in honor of the Elder Scrolls Nirnroot and Crimson Nirnroot.
I'm going to pull it out
So, you know, I can I have mentioned before that I relate to Randall a lot as a character. I have never been more Randall than the moment where he named the plant and other people were like, you named the plant, didn't you? And I was just like, oh no, is this how people are going to react to me naming the plant?
You helped name my plant too.
Yeah, this is also true. We have
Rodeo Shadow Star.
Listen, Randall, you may have named your plant Isaac, but we have Nirnroot, Crimson Nirnroot, and Rodeo Shadow Star here.
That's right. I actually really related to Randall being out on his patio and putting it together as sort of a place for himself, because I'm a lot like Randall in that way too, that I need space and time for myself, and wherever I can find it, a little corner of the room, out on the patio, anything like that, I will take it, because it's hard when you're living in a house with a whole bunch of people or in a small space with other people to be able to have that little bit of time to recharge. And there's a lot of people living in Randall's house right now, and it is difficult when you've got Beth and her mom, who are sort of, they love each other, but there's tension and at odds. It is real tough.
What was so fascinating to me about this Beth story is I feel like we have seen, at least on 1,000 sitcoms, here is the parental figure who's coming in and being really difficult and criticizing, but it's like they found a way to sort of actually breathe life into it, where I was really into this. I mean, maybe it's just because Felicia Rashad is freaking awesome, and it's always good when she's on the show.
Yeah, and I really loved where they took it at the end, that it wasn't just the typical, oh, I was only criticizing you only because I want that life.
Yeah.
There was a part of that, but there was also another part of it where she's just like, yeah, I'm judging you. there are certain things, that these little things, I'm judging you. That's truth. But also this. Man, they really did do a good twist on an old classic that we've seen.
Yeah, it was nuanced. It was a little bit more layered. I mean, I probably agree with Beth's mom. Always put more Scotch bonnet peppers in things. Like, that's always a good thing. But I felt...
My grandfather is like that too. He loved them.
Yeah, well, this is there's these little things that just like connect to our hearts with this show.
Yeah.
And I think this storyline was probably relatable to a lot of people. But Beth does a big thing in sort of saying, okay, my mom can be here indefinitely. That's going to pose some challenges, I feel, at some point.
It could, but I mean, it's going to, I think, bring in a lot of riches to the show and to that family dynamic.
It's going to be fun having just, kind of like with Nicky, we're having somebody else sort of thrown into the mix here who we've sort of seen here or there and never really fully dived into.
Yep.
This entire dinner scene, I could have had the whole episode be this, because it is one of those sort of situations where if you're cranky, there's a lot going on, you're trying to change the subject.
Yep.
Eventually, stuff is going to blow up and everyone is just going to fight.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, for me, the heart of all of this was that conversation with Randall and Malik. I love that he felt comfortable enough to actually go to Randall and that they have this kind of relationship. And it gives me hope, more hope, that this is who Deja is still with in the future when she shows up pregnant. I know she's only 15 now. And you kind of forget that because she is sort of so mature for her age on the show. I forget that. Even when he mentioned it today, I forget sometimes you're 15. I'm like, oh, man, I forget sometimes that she's 15 because it feels like she's 18, 19, kind of getting to that age group now, but she's not.
No.
But it was such a good conversation with Randall as well with Deja, where she was kind of like, listen, you had this conversation with Malik. He told you that, Jennifer, the mother of his child, wants to come back into his life. Nobody told me. Like, yeah, I'm mad at Malik for not telling me, but I'm extra mad at you as well. And this is why, because you're my person. You're the only person I've had that is always in my corner. That is number one in my corner. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is what I watched this show for.
It's so funny because I feel like these past 2 episodes, they've had a lot of flaws, and I feel like we've had to point out a lot of flaws, and then you get to an episode like this, and it's suddenly like reminding you, oh yeah, this is what this show does a really, really good job at, because I got where Deja was coming from. She didn't act like, she wasn't like filling into that like bratty teenager box that we often see. It made sense, and it made sense for Randall too. I understood everyone.
Deja is just such a good character, and the actress is phenomenal in this character. Like just so good.
Yeah, and I love that all of this is going on, and it's like, this is where Tess is like, okay, this is where I'm going to just suddenly talk about the fact that I'm
in a relationship, by the way, and I'm out.
Yeah, this is totally where you just drop it, and then you just back on out of the room, and like, that totally happens too, and that's why I even love that, where, that in Tess's mind, she was like, okay, where can I do this? I know they're going to make a big deal out of it. I know they're going to ask me a million questions. So here we go.
I also just really liked that all of Randall's kids had something to do and something to say. Because a lot of times shows that are about big families and stuff like that, the kids don't always have solid storylines, or they don't always have enough to do. And it was nice to see that all the kids had something to do.
It was, and even Annie, because Annie is sort of like, to use the power analogy, she's like Yaz, who just like shows up and disappears for like weeks and months on end.
Yeah, I like that now that Beth's mother's going to be staying, that there is this relationship where her and Grandma are watching NCIS, and I guess crushing all over Mark Harmon like many people do, but that it does sort of tie in more of that family.
I think the thing that I'm the happiest with coming out of this episode is just that I feel like there's a greater sense of direction, where the end of this past episode, I was like, I don't really know where they go from here. But it's like, now, okay, we get to see Kate in a new job. We get to see Nicky, you know, with Kevin. We get to see Beth's mom around more. Like, there's, like, legitimate things to grasp onto now other than the flash forwards. That can't be enough if you're only giving us, like, 1 or 2 a season.
Yeah, and it was nice to see that moment as well with Kate and Madison, where she was just like, oh, I'm so glad you slept with my brother, which, of course, is really weird, but we're able to sort of see, you know, remember that they are best friends on top of her being part of the family. And she is also right that octopus with the tentacles, little suckers on it, is really creepy. Nobody wants to eat that. I am in that camp, Madison.
Listen, if somebody gives me calamari and it's like fried and you got some marinara sauce.
With the suckers on it. That was the specific.
Okay,
she is correct.
I might eat them. I'm not sure. I wouldn't order them. Like, I wouldn't actively seek them out. I'm just saying, it depends on how they're prepared. But, you know, another good line I should point out, Kevin mentioning that he and Randall still are not on great terms. I like that that sort of just didn't be like, oh, everything is better now.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree on that. I want to see that conversation. They said they were going to have a bigger, deeper conversation down the road. I am very glad that it feels like that is still in play and that we still might get that.
Yeah, we're not rushing anything. We're just getting some really, really good story. I can't be mad at I really can't be mad about anything in this episode. Of course, I wish, you know, there was another big reveal here or there or whatever else. But, you know, for a weekly This Is Us episode, my heart is full. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I just want to go and... Can it be Pie Day again? I want to have another pie.
All right. No, this was a really good episode. I did feel the same that last week's episode was kind of a car journey to nowhere. But we have had so many big reveal, that this feels like this sort of This Is Us from old, where it is squeezing my heart in all the right places and I'm feeling good.
Well, let's hear what you guys are feeling. Are you guys feeling good? Do you want to have a seat at the Pearson dinner table in the future?
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah, really. I want to give me a front row ticket to whatever kind of craziness is going to happen there now. But let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments. And if you do like this video, subscribe. Give us a like. You can support us as well. Just check those links in the description to the store as well as our Patreon. And we'll see you here next time.